There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in.
Hello, my beautiful people. I am so excited to talk to you about reviews in general, getting a good review, getting a bad review, leaving a good review, leaving a bad review, okay? This episode was inspired by my very first 1-star review on my podcast, okay? Now, I don't think I'm going to read the review to you, and I'll tell you why a little bit later, but if you really want to go check it out, it's on Apple Podcasts, okay? This was left a couple of months ago, and as a life and business coach, it is so important to recognize how you react to reviews, how you ask for reviews, how you feel about reviews, and how you use reviews in your business. Oh, okay. I'm going to just start off with this story. The first time I got a 3-star review, I was so upset. And I was upset for many, many days. And you guys could go to my Facebook page if you wanted to, Fun and Sustainable Accountability. And I have over 150 5-star reviews. And Facebook has changed it to recommendations, and it's changed over the years. But I did a really good job at collecting reviews. And early on in my business, I did challenges, 4-week challenges. They had accountability in them. And every week I would have a new topic and you would track your progress daily. And the whole point of accountability is to stay on top of it. Like, you couldn't get into the program and track your progress for the last 7 days because it's really hard to remember what you do. So one of the features or functions of my challenge was that after the 4 weeks was over, it locked up and you're done. And somebody did not like that. I had worked with this person for a long time. She did many challenges, and finally she had left me a review, and it was 3 stars. And I was like, what the heck? And she had complained about the fact that she had purchased my programs and she wants access to it forever. Here's the beautiful thing about life topics, nutrition, exercise topics, is that once you know it, you don't need to learn it again. You just need to do it. So this review, I was very surprised. I was like, why do you need the program again if you don't want the accountability? Like, if you know that you need to eat vegetables, then just go and eat vegetables. You don't need the program to be open. So obviously, I spent so much time figuring out how to respond to this. I took it very personally. I'm like, I have worked with her for a long time. I've given her fantastic coaching. And what the heck, 3 stars? Like, not even 4? Or couldn't you have given 5 because you've reached your weight loss goals, but you're just mad about this one feature in the program? So anyway, it was very interesting looking back now how I spent so much time on it. And the purpose of this podcast is to help you understand how you will use reviews to your advantage, okay? So we're going to talk more about getting reviews and maybe not so much giving reviews, because maybe you want to. Maybe you need help on not leaving bad reviews for everybody because you get offended. Maybe we'll talk about that. But in my group, Lady Bosses of Utah, I asked people, what do you do when you get a bad review? And the first person said the only time she ever got a bad review is when somebody came onto Google and gave her 1 star because she does witchy stuff. And this person just hates witches. And she went through multiple Google pages just putting 1 stars on everything. And so I asked her, I said, what did you do? And she said, we all reported it. I have to look back and see if it was ever removed. But the thing is, she got more people to leave her a review, people who didn't take the time previously, but she had a reason to say, hey, can we bury this review with good ones? That is also probably not my number 1 tip, because as I was telling my family, this was years ago, 7 years ago, when I'm like at family dinner talking about how this person had the audacity to leave me a 3-star review. One of my sisters-in-law, very ahead of the game business-wise, she was doing tons of business stuff before I even was. And she was like, it's not a bad thing to get a 3-star review because it's going to give your business credibility. And I was like, how in the world does that give credibility? But if you are allowing people to give their honest feedback on your process, on your products, on your business, then it lets people know that you're human and you can be trusted to improve and trusted to make things better. So that stuck with me from the very beginning of like, let's just bury this with good reviews. And so you guys know too, like you go on Amazon and you look at a product and you instantly go to the 1-star review. And I think it's just because we as consumers don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to waste our money. We don't want to waste our energy. We don't want to waste our resources. So reviews are really, really important. So somebody said on this post, it was kind of funny, but I 100% agree with it. She said, from the consumer perspective, if there's one bad review amongst the majority of positive reviews, that bad review, in my eyes, has no weight or influence on my decision to engage with that business. We've all seen reviews used to manipulate businesses into free services or products, as well as that one individual who isn't satisfied no matter what you do. I just ignore it and look at other reviews for a better picture of that business. So she has a really good point there, because a lot of people do use reviews unfairly or unethically, I would say. Once again, years ago, I got into a Facebook group because one of my friends was like, you can get free stuff from this group. All you have to do is agree to leave reviews on Amazon, 5-star reviews. And I was like, you're getting all this stuff for free and it's stuff that you like obviously you would give it a 5-star review. So I went through this process for a long, long time in this Facebook group, and I'm sure they still exist today. So if you have time on your hands, you got nothing else to do, you could do this if you wanted to. But there's Facebook groups who they'll post a picture of an item and they'll say, you have to have Amazon Prime, here's the product, you have to pay for it, and they'll reimburse you after you send your review. So you'd have to send a screenshot that you got the item and then you did what the seller wanted you to, and then they would get your PayPal and they would reimburse you. And this might be I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't do it anymore. I don't know if it's against a lot of rules or whatever, but I was getting a ton of free stuff and I would happily leave 5-star reviews if I would honestly give that item a 5-star review. But then it got to a point where I was like, I don't want to leave this thing a 5-star review, and this thing is a piece of garbage. And so I got to the point where I had to be more selective in what I was willing to accept because I wanted to be honest. Here's another crazy thing. Just like this person said, we've seen reviews used to manipulate businesses. I've also seen businesses use reviews to manipulate other businesses. So I was so surprised that I had companies that would show up in this Facebook group and they're like, buy this product, which is a product of our competitors, and leave a bad review and we will pay you $50, $25, whatever it was. And that opened my eyes. I was like, that is so crazy that people will do that. And it's really jacked up. It's really, really, really jacked up. So just keep in mind, there are some cases where you might read reviews and it's not really credible at all. Another person said, in the past, I've responded in the best way possible and then asked people who know me to review my work. And she has a really good point there as well. Ask people who know you to review your work, because sometimes a review is left in the heat of the moment. So just like the podcast review that somebody left me, let me find the other comment. I didn't want to read the review because somebody was like, don't give it any more time or attention. Don't let this person listen to your podcast again and then feel good that you spent so much time on it. But here's the thing is the review that this person left, it's so evident they don't listen to every episode of this podcast. They listened to one episode that was advertised because I had a guest on it. And anyway, so somebody commented and she said, so somebody posted a negative review on your podcast because of her daughter's experience as a child. And unfortunately, yes. So this brings up a really good point, because another person said, I read the comment and I guess when it's a podcast with multiple people, you're bound to get the full spectrum of viewers. Those would affect the reviews. So you have to consider that too, is that when you are looking at reviews of a business, it's not always going to be reflective of the entire company. It might be one person that they worked with. And getting a bad review, you have to recognize if you're in a business that has multiple people working for it, like they are going to be the face of your brand, and they might elicit a response that you don't love. So when it comes to getting reviews, there's so many different ways that you can handle it. And as you can see, there's so many factors. Somebody else said, I usually respond in a way that shows I care about their concern, but in a way that kind of closes out the issues. When people see it, they can see that you took the time to address the reviewer's complaints and respond back. This could be one of those, I appreciate all the feedback. If you'd like to further address this, please reach out to XYZ. It shows that you saw it and you might not necessarily agree with it, but you're open to address the issue, and that speaks volumes. And I'm sure you've all heard of that as well. Like, you could just leave it, but it does show a lot of credibility in your business if you respond in a really good way.
Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in.
Now I want to share with you a couple of tips that will help you in the situation when you get a bad review or less than great review. And this is really important because as a business owner, you have to know that these experiences are going to come. And I will say that running a good business, you should be getting bad reviews once in a while. And you're probably like, why in the world would I want a bad review? Well, you want to get in the habit of asking people to review your business because that's the way that you're going to improve. It's also a way that you're going to get social proof that you're a growing and thriving business. And also, you want to discontinue working with people who are not your ideal client. So if you've gotten a bad review before, like, congratulations, you've made it, you're in the club. And we can respond to those in an appropriate way. And when we do that, it's going to get us more great reviews in the future. So tip number 1, respond in a timely manner. However, give yourself time to blow off steam if it affects you that bad. But customers appreciate a prompt response. And a lot of times, if you can show that you care like that, maybe that's the only thing that you missed the first time around, is that they didn't feel seen, they didn't feel heard. And if you respond in a timely manner, then it's going to help them recognize like, oh, I am here, I am working on my business, I am addressing it. But that brings me to the next tip, is to stay professional, stay courteous, because there's so many times that it's easy to just get defensive. Like, I'll tell you this, I have an Airbnb, okay? My home is an Airbnb, and the last time that I showed up to clean with my cleaners, all of the games were like mixed up. There were pieces on the bed, the cards weren't put away. And then I went into our theater where we have a love sack and there was crap all over the floor. And I'm like, what is this? And the last booking had 6 adults and 7 kids. And this theater, I was like, what in the world is on the floor? It doesn't look like food. It doesn't. Anyway, it was padding from inside of the love sack pillow. So little pieces of not styrofoam, just foam. I can't even think of the word right now. It was all over the floor. Okay. So I clean it up. I spend extra time vacuuming. I have to take time. And I told the person who stayed, because on Airbnb it says give any feedback for this person. I gave them a good review because I understand that that's important in the Airbnb world. And this person was a host. They have their own Airbnb, which flabbergasted me that they would leave the house the way that they did. So I told them, I said, hey, I could read it exactly, but essentially, you probably weren't watching your kids. Just want to make you aware, this took us extra time to clean up. Here is an additional cleaning fee as per the house rules. And this dude, he was not having it. He wrote me back and he was like, I was gonna leave you a 5-star review, but we found 5 spiders in your house and the water pressure is low and your cleaning fee is already too high. And I was like, okay, like I could write all sorts of stuff back to this and be like, well, you're a super host and I'm a host and we should take care of each other's homes and blah, 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 blah. And luckily I took some time to chill for a second. I asked for help from my husband to say, okay, what do we do about this? We don't want to get a bad review. But also Airbnb's rules, like that is against the rules to threaten an outcome or threaten reviews based on an interaction. So anyway, we basically responded and say, hey, we stayed at my house not too long before your stay. I didn't see any spiders. I'll look into that. Thank you for making me aware. And hey, this was a cleaning fee that we did spend extra time cleaning it, and our cleaning fee is high because we value our cleaning team and we value how well they take care of our house. And then we said, don't worry about it. Have a good day. And, nothing happened. We haven't got a review from this person yet. I don't know what will happen. But I can feel good about the response, knowing like things like this are just going to happen. And could I have improved what I had done? Yeah, I probably just could have vacuumed it and not worried about it. But it also for me was like, I did take it a little bit personally. So looking back, it's like, no, I need to take a step back before doing that. And just like, are some things worth fixing? Another person commented on this post, and she said, I've been called out on social media several times because I have controversial views and I share them. I take it case by case. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I delete comments and block people when they're being obnoxious. But in the end, I have confidence that my work and my message will speak for itself in the end. I know you can't always delete a bad review. You have to use your judgment about whether or not you can address and resolve something. And this is really, really true. Airbnb, in this case, you can get a review removed if you can prove that they did it out of vengeance or spite or whatever. But a lot of times you can't get reviews removed. And a lot of times, just like that first example about the witchy stuff, like it's fake. But it can take a lot of your time if you don't know how to respond to a good or bad review. So the third tip is to understand why your customer had that experience and consider what made it happen before responding. So like, you don't want to jump to conclusions or just assume that they were a horrible customer. I mean, maybe there's a gap in your system. Maybe one of your employees was having a bad day and they were short with a customer. Like, it's 100% possible. So if someone mentions a problem with your service, like, figure it out and see what might have gone wrong. Look at your mistakes, be honest about them, and see what it takes to remedy the situation. Even if you have to go above and beyond, because maybe that process of going above and beyond is what actually needed to happen for you to clean up your process. Another one is apologize when appropriate, but don't take responsibility for things that weren't your fault. Now, I think that this is 100% possible, and I think it's necessary as well to not take responsibility for things that weren't your fault, but you can still show empathy and understand where a person is coming from and then choose to part ways peacefully. I had a client in the past that was like, I want to be done coaching with you. And she wasn't booking her calls. I would send her my calendar and nothing was happening. She's like, I don't feel supported. And I'm like, I have told you when you can book calls, and here's the process, and I've been here for you. And she did say, I don't feel like you are taking responsibility. Like, you're putting this all on me when it's not. And I was like, you hired me for accountability. So I'm not really sure how to respond to this. But I have made it a point to clean up my process so that maybe I can deliver my calendar way more ahead of time if this person is really booked. So ask yourself if there is some area you need to apologize for, or if there is a gap in your system that really is your fault. Another good tip is offer to talk it over. Now, this one is not always the most fun because you don't really want to go into a situation with somebody who is already mad or heated. But a lot of times nowadays, like obviously all the reviews are online. It's been documented somewhere. So I think along with the first two tips, if you respond in a timely manner and you're professional and courteous, like the offer to talk it over will go a long way, because if they really care about coming to resolution, I think they will. They will say, hey, here's what I need, or you guys did this, or it's still unfinished, or whatever it may be. But if this is the first time you're hearing about a complaint, then it's important to get more details before you respond so that you can sort it over with them and take care of it in a way that's a win-win for both of you. The last one is just be yourself. Be yourself. And if you are the kind of person that you're like, well, what if I'm like not professional, or what if I'm snarky, or what if I do get mad? It's like, as a business owner, these things are going to come. So there is totally a balance between being yourself and being a really good business owner that responds really well to bad reviews. So I want you to know though, like, people work with you because of who you are, because of the business you built, because of the products and services that you offer. So be real in your responses, because again, that's going to be the fastest way to get more great reviews in the future, but also weed out the people who you're like, we're just not a good fit. So responding to good and bad reviews, I want to know what your take is. Have you gotten a bad review? Are you still worried about a bad review that you got? How can I support you? And I just want to end with a quick little story, okay? In Lady Bosses, there was somebody who joined the group, and they were kind of scrolling through, and they saw me pop up all the time, obviously as the admin and the extroverted admin. She came to the conclusion that she didn't really like me. And she was like, this girl is just really annoying. But at that time, we had already become Facebook friends. She actually left the Facebook group. And when I published my book, The Accountability Code, I had recorded the first part of my audiobook. I did a 10-minute clip of me reading one of the first stories, and I needed feedback on how it sounded. So I put it out there on my Facebook and my Instagram, and I said, hey, I need honest feedback on my book, how it sounds. And if you can give me feedback, I would just absolutely love it. So this girl, she saw it and she was like, oh, this girl, Marcy, wants feedback. I'm going to rip her a new one. I'm going to listen to her book, and I'm just going to let it all out because this girl is annoying. So I didn't know that, but I sent her the clip, and she changed her mind. She was like, I actually like this girl. I like this book. I want to do this program, and I'm going to get back in that group. And I think that just goes to show, when you are genuine and authentic, you're going to attract the people that you want to work with. And good or bad reviews, as you get them, just keep going. Like, your business is not going to be put out of business by one bad review. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully we never even have to worry about that. But just know that reviews are just that. It's a piece of feedback. Feedback is the last step of the accountability code, and it is information used as a basis for improvement. So welcome the reviews. Be open to improving as a business owner, and be open to challenging yourself and how you respond, because it's going to take you far, not just in your business, but in your own personal relationships and the way that you view the possibilities in your life. So I want to know, like, what's your take on reviews? How can I help you? I encourage you to book a call with me if you need help responding to reviews, or if you just need help figuring out what that next step is for you. I can guarantee you that when you implement feedback and reviews into your business, you're going to see areas of growth, but you're also going to reap the rewards of seeing how awesome you are doing. So if I have said nothing else, just know how amazing you are. Know how amazing you are. That's what you need to know today. All right. Have a fantastic day.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.